Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Head, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. This video is going to be on the Baseball Head 2 and the Baseball Head 3, because this is this is a kind of a WFAN insane video. You know, I would mention Chris Russo, as you know, worked at WFAN from 1988 through 2007, 2008. So he was there a long time. And he's been away from there a long time, but sometimes he's not too far away from the nervous hospital. And obviously, he has these weird moments where and this is very strange that he said this about Tony Clark. As you know, the union director, the head of the union, Tony Clark, who was a former major leaguer, was forced to resign because a lot of stuff going on with him. But the straw that broke the camel's back is it got out that he was fooling around with one of his subordinates at the union, who also happens to be his sister-in-law, which is bizarre. And it's terrible that he's fooling around with somebody that he's working with, but it's his sister-in-law too. Now, I don't know if she's been she's been fired or whatever, or they forced her to resign. I couldn't tell you. That's a separate issue. Who knows? But Christopher Mad Dog Russo had his take. And this is a very bizarre take. Somebody told me about this earlier on the Baseball Hut 3. I didn't know what they were talking about. Because I do so many videos, sometimes I forget what people are talking about. So, and I didn't know about this with Mad Dog. Then he reads from awful announcing. Chris Russo wonders what's inappropriate about Tony Clark scandal. Happens all the time. Quote, I don't understand. This happens all the time. Why would that be considered inappropriate? It's his sister-in-law. What? Let me read this again in my regular voice. I don't understand. This happens all the time. Why would that be considered inappropriate? It's his sister-in-law. Uh-huh. Come on. Tony Clark is no longer leading the Major League Baseball Players Association as allegedly having an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. And I would mention, I've seen pictures of him and his sister-in-law. They're holding hands, Very bizarre. And Chris Mad Dog Russo is left wondering what the big deal is. Really? Major League Baseball was hit with a bombshell news Tuesday when Clark resigned as executive director of the Players Union after 12 years. The timing of Clark's resignation was curious, considering MLB owners are expected to lock the players out after the 2026 season, with a salary cap being the likely sticking point in their next collective bargaining negotiations. I would say this. I have felt that just watching Tony Clark on TV and doing interviews here and there, he always seemed to be a guy that was kind of distracted. And now we know why. After the breaking news, it was soon reported that Clark allegedly, and this is his brother's wife. That's the scary thing. This is his brother's wife he's doing this. He's a lousy brother. That Clark allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who's been employed by the union since 2023, which seemingly gave a little more reason for the resignation. But Russo still didn't get it. Again, this is your brother's wife, man. What are you doing? Let me get you the Russo's take. It was due to an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who's in her 50s. What's inappropriate about that? Russo asked on his Tuesday Mad Dog Sports Radio show. I don't understand. This happens all the time, this stuff. Why would that be considered inappropriate? It's his sister-in-law, right? So it's his brother's wife. I guess that's inappropriate. I guess. Isn't that a family matter more so than it's a union matter? Although she works for them. Russo's producer interjected to note that the sister-in-law was reportedly employed by the union. But Russo still wasn't ready to call it an inappropriate relationship worthy of resignation. To me, it is more of a cover-up with the FBI. That's the way I look at it. I might be dead wrong on it. The FBI is investigating the union. I thought this was a little bit of a camouflage. Well, who knows? The surprising resignation comes amid a federal probe as the FBI investigates Clark and union leaders over whether funds were misused. Quote, he didn't do anything criminally wrong, added up with Clark's alleged relationship. He did something stupid. He's not going to jail. Well, you never know. Certainly going to hell. You don't do that. Just when you thought Stephen A. Smith calling for the woman's name to be released might be the strangest take around the scandal within the union. Russo crafted his own unique analysis. It's one thing to argue that Clark's resignation might have more to do with the FBI investigation than MLB reporters are letting on. But questioning why an alleged romantic relationship between an executive and their sister-in-law, who also happens to be subordinate, is inappropriate, was bizarre. And that's what you get. I mean, really, that is bizarre. And strange, too. It's not recommended in these big corporate situations to be fooling around with somebody that you're working with. And the fact that she's your sister-in-law, your brother's wife. This is your brother's wife, dude. This is his brother's wife, Mad Dog. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that probably why he was always fighting with Mike Francesa. I think that's why they were always fighting. Because of these bizarre, strange, and crazy comments. I mean, this is the guy who might be patient zero at WFAN. We have sort of I would mention, we do have a pre-patient, and then we got patient zero. The pre-patient was Pete Franklin. I'm going all the way back. That guy was nuts. Screaming, acting like a crazy person, unlikable. But Russo might be patient zero at WFAN. Completely nuts. Now, I always called them Fruit Loops. That was more than just a double entendre. There was a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of stuff not going on there. Not a lot of intellectual prowess. Why don't you tell us more about 1940s Cleveland Browns there, doggy? Tell me more about the Cleveland Browns, the 1940s. But this is the kind of stuff you get from the patients, even the former patients at WFA.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny fun.